Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me for another Trading Crypto 101 episode. In today's video, we're going to break down one of my favorite indicators for both cryptocurrency and Forex. That indicator is, of course, the Waddah Attar explosion. Now, I've received a lot of questions about the Waddah Attar explosion, and while today's video will not be a deep dive into all the nuances of the Waddah Attar, it will serve as a helpful primer and strategy guide for those who are interested in this indicator. I'm going to explain to you what the Waddah Attar explosion indicator is, how it is designed, what its functions are, what it can do, what it was designed to do, and how you can use it as the basis of a profitable trading strategy. If this is your first time to this channel, make sure to start off right by subscribing and hit the notification bell so you never miss our daily breaking Bitcoin market updates. All right, guys, let's get cracking. All right, guys, for the purposes of this strategy guide, I'm going to be utilizing my version of the Waddah Attar explosion indicator that I just finished today. I published it on TradingView. It is called the Cracking Cryptocurrency Waddah Attar Explosion. If you guys go to tv.crackingcryptocurrency.com, of course, the links will be down in the description below. You can access this indicator. This is a free and public indicator. You can use it to your heart's content. And since I just published it, as I'm recording this video, normally you would just be able here in TradingView to go up to indicators and type in cracking, right? And you can see the rest of our indicators come up here. Now, because I just published this indicator in preparation for this video, it's going to take some time for the TradingView servers to update. But by the time you watch this video, no doubt you will just be able to type in cracking and see the indicator right there. All right. So the Waddah Attar explosion indicator was programmed and designed by a man named Waddah Attar, hence the name. It began its life in the Forex world and was primarily used by intraday traders and scalpers. It's designed to detect and indicate changes in market trend. So at its best, traders who utilize this indicator claim it has a high efficiency rate of around 90%. As such, I consider it a reliable indicator to trade upon. However, especially on lower time frames, Waddah Attar, since it is quite sensitive, can abruptly switch direction. So you want to be careful when using it for scalping if you're not able to babysit the trade. However, on higher time frames, I find it works very well as a swing indicator, as a confirmation indicator. Now, the Waddah Attar is programmed upon the MACD indicator. The MACD is actually what's responsible for the histogram that is formed, while the Bollinger Bands are responsible for the line that moves along, the explosion level. The histogram is comprised of red and green bars of varying height. The height of each bar is measured from 0 upwards. There's no upper height to how high these bars can go. Every bar formed by this indicator corresponds to a bar or candlestick on the main chart. Red bars are formed when there is a downtrend in the market, while green bars are formed by an uptrend. The height of the bars is an indication of the volume of each bar or candlestick that the bar corresponds to. Thus, it's measuring the strength of the movement in either direction. All right. So for every candlestick, there is going to be a bar on Waddah Attar, and the color of the Waddah Attar bar represents the trend of the movement, whether it be a downtrend or an uptrend. The height of the bar in Waddah Attar explosion signifies the volume, the strength pushing the market, the force acting upon the market. So when we have a downtrend, Waddah Attar will form red bars, and when we have an uptrend, Waddah Attar will form green bars. Now, you can use this as a reversal indicator. As you can see, it does call bottoms and it does call tops. You can also use this as a confirmation indicator for when a trend is established, because this will give you re-entry signals. So right now, I have Bitcoin on the BitMEX chart pulled open on the daily, and we can see that, as always, it's going to give us some bad signals and some really good signals, right? We can see some long signals here that where we were in this period of chop, and we'll get into how to mitigate that in a second, but essentially we get a long signal here and here. We got a short signal here, which was a great sell signal. A short signal here, that was most likely a break even, a buy signal here, a short, a buy. And then, so as you can see, this is a lowered period of volatility where any trend following indicator on its own is going to get you in the chop, right? And this is what the purpose of what I'm teaching, especially in the Pathways to Profit course for everybody in our group. which is going to be how to design an indicator or how to design a system that keeps you out of chop and gets you into confirmed movements. Because when you are following a trend following strategy, your primary concern is not necessarily timing. Your primary concern is risk management, is knocking losses off of your trade. So by utilizing a secondary confirmation indicator, likely we would have knocked a lot of these potential losses off of the chart. However, let's move on to the great signals that Waddah Attar gives us. Obviously, it tells us to be short in the market right here, and that's confirmed all the way down. So we can see that this signal was given on November 2018. Of course, we know exactly what happened. We were able to actually catch a good short toward the end of the market that actually brought us to the bottom. Now, this indicator caught the absolute bottom of the market as well, reversing us up to the upside. We have a re-entry signal in an established trend here. It catches this movement to the downside here, catches this movement to the upside. These are likely chop losses right here. And then as we can see, it does get us into a good movement here to the upside. Okay, so this is just an example on the daily chart of how you can use this as a trend following indicator. So we'll go down to the lower time frames and talk about how we can utilize this as a scalping or intraday trading indicator here in a second. But I want to talk about the rules for taking a trade per Waddah Attar, and we'll talk about some of the features that my version of this indicator has. So as we can see, this version of the indicator that I've created will actually paint your bars depending on what kind of signal you get. It also has alerts. So you can right click the chart, you can go to add alert, and you just go down to CCWAE, and you can see we have Wada buy signal and Wada sell signal. So if you want to get alerted on your TradingView platform when you get a buy or sell signal pursuant to this indicator, you'll simply note for that, and it will let you know when one of these signals generates. At this point in time, you want to log in and decide based on your other indicators in your strategy what you should do with the market, whether that's a good signal to take, whether it has a high probability of success based upon the other indicators that you've backtested with this strategy with, or whether we want to do nothing, we want some more confirmation. So let's talk about some qualifications and let's talk about trade strategy. All right. So for a long, what we are looking for is for Waddah Attar. Let's get in here to Waddah Attar and zoom in on this. What we are looking for is for a green bar in Waddah Attar to print and close above the explosion level. All right. Now that's qualification one. And that is the most basic way to take this trade to go for a long, is to wait for a bar to print above the explosion level. As we can see, the explosion level denoted here by this black and yellow line. We'll get to that in just a second. Now, traditionally, you would exit the trade either when you print a bar that is below the explosion level or when you get a red bar, okay? Typically, you're going to get this first before you get this, but those are the two exit indicators as per this strategy. Now, I highly recommend that you pair this with another indicator that is going to get you out of the market, your exit indicator, or alternatively, what I like to do, your own stop and target system. As you guys are well aware, I use Quadriga ATR, which is a proprietary indicator to determine my take profits. I utilize the average true range, actual market volatility to determine where is a likely area to take profit. So there are some other qualifications that will help you out with filtering out losses. As on the higher time frames, we're using this as a trend following indicator. It is very important that we filter out losses. So in this example, there are a couple qualifications that we can add. Qualification one is that the explosion level itself has to be rising, right? The explosion level has to be rising. And the way that I've coded this is that if the explosion level is rising, it will be yellow. If it is falling, it will be black. So these indicate potential signals that we would have not have taken. And this first signal that we get when the explosion level is rising is a signal that we would have potentially taken. Qualification two, you can actually wait for the second bullish bar to print before actually taking the trade. And this is very helpful to confirm that the movement is valid and not just a fake out, as you so often get. Price will bottom, will give a buy signal, and then immediately reverse because it was just an attempted reversal. And the trade there was individuals that got their limit orders filled and sold as price spiked up and not an actual reversal of the trend. So you have to be unaware of these movements in the market. Often what we will see, and we can see this if we go to the chart, we'll often see moments in time where The market does reverse and move up slightly, but it's not actually a shift in trend, right? It's just a scalp trade to the upside. And really the trade to be taken there is waiting for the correction and then reshorting the movement. Just as when you are in a bullish trend, the movement is not to short these tops. The movement is to wait for the pullback and long the pullback because you want to trade in the direction of the underlying trend. So similarly let's talk about the nuance of the lime to green bars. Now, a Waddah Attar bar is going to be lime if it is printing higher momentum than the previous bar, right? If the trend is still bullish, however, we actually have a little bit less momentum or a lot less momentum than the previous bar. So if the bar is less high, if the bar is shorter than the previous bar, then the colors will switch from lime to green. Obviously, we can see in this example that the bar is higher than the previous bar, so the lime is repainted and not just green. Now, this is helpful for seeing the strength of a movement. This can often be very helpful for identifying when a particular movement is actually initiating, when a particular movement is stronger than the previous one. So you can utilize this as a confirmation indicator, for example. So maybe you're not convinced by these buy signals right here, but when we do print a strong lime green bar, actually we print one right here as well, or here. So I guess a good example in this case is, say you're not necessarily convinced by this bar because it is the first green bar that you're printing after a sell signal. So maybe you're not convinced, maybe you're not sure that this is just a fake out or a not sustained movement. You get confirmation here on this bar where not only do you get another buy signal, but you actually get a lime green bar as opposed to a green bar. Now, why are these not printing buy signals? Because this indicator is designed to just let you know when the trend is shifting bullish, and I hope that you can look down at the chart and determine when the trend is strengthening or weakening, either by the height of the bars that Waddah Attar prints or by the color that the bars are painting as. All right, so we talked about utilizing a second bar for confirmation to ensure that you don't get a false signal. We've talked about waiting for the explosion level to be rising before taking a long. All right. Now, I also recommend, again, I want to make sure this is very clear. This is a very good indicator in and of itself, but I highly recommend that you pair this with other indicators and other aspects of technical analysis. What those components are, I fully go over in the Pathways to Profit course, but I'd never recommend utilizing one indicator solely to determine your trades off of. It is the system that you devise that works beautifully together that is the pathway to profit, not just the one individual indicator, no matter how powerful it is. So, what are some things that can help strengthen the Waddah Attar indicator? Well, an exit signal is going to be good because the Waddah Attar, when you're using a trending indicator to get in, you don't want to be using a trending indicator to get out because often you will give up a lot of potential profit. So a more sensitive indicator, potentially an oscillator. Obviously, you guys know that I like to utilize time transformation, which is a very sensitive oscillator for my take profits, as well as my designated stop and target system per Quadriga ATR. So a two lines crossing type of indicator is going to be very helpful, something that's sensitive for getting out of the market. Stop losses, if we want to talk about stop losses, now you can use as a stop loss an opposite colored bar forming or the same colored bar closing below the explosion level is a good stop loss, or you can use your own method of technical analysis or another indicator or average true range, which is what I prefer to do. However, what this can do is act as a backup stop loss. So for those of you who have seen my Ichimoku video, you know how I talk about utilizing in the same way another aspect of taking profit. But should you print, in this example, should you close a bar below the explosion level, or should you print an opposite colored bar, that is your, I'm not arguing with the system, I'm not going to sit here and hem and haw, I'm just going to be listening to this because I know that this is my backup stop loss if my take profit indicator does not trigger. All right, so we've talked about taking signals to the long side. Let's talk about taking signals to the short side. All right, so what is the indication for taking a signal to the short side? It is a red bar closing above the explosion level. We want to see the explosion level rising because that is an indication that trend is strong. We want to see the explosion level yellow, so we want to see the explosion level rising, and we want to see a red bar close above the explosion level. Again, also very helpful if you pair this with other indicators, but this does give good signals in and of itself. Now, of course, you can wait for, as I talked about earlier, you can wait for the second bar to print before entering into the trade. And then again, as I said, utilizing that method of making sure that the explosion level is rising, which indicates that the trend itself is strengthening. Let's go over the settings for the Wada Attar explosion indicator, the Kraken cryptocurrency version that I've programmed. So we'll just click the gear icon here and we'll go over these settings. So sensitivity. So this is going to correspond to the explosion level. So if we start adjusting sensitivity, for example, let's move it down to 125, you'll see the explosion level adjust. All right. Now, the default settings that I have on here, I think are going to work just fine. However, I recommend adjusting this and playing around with this because, as always, nuance, care, and patience is going to provide the best results. So if you're going to trade this on a different time frame, I recommend messing around with the settings and seeing if you get better signals. The fast length and the slow length are going to correspond to the MACD calculations. As you can see, this does not use the default 1226. This actually uses the 2040, and this comes from the original programmer of the indicator. Now, I find that these levels work very well, but again, taking some time and care and trying to adjust this to the time frame that you're trading on and the asset that you're trading on will likely yield better results. Channel length and multiplier are going to conform to the Bollinger Band. As we talked about, that is the explosion level. So channel length is going to be the look back period of the Bollinger Band, and the multiplier is going to be the standard deviation. So obviously adjusting this is going to change your explosion level as well significantly, just as we can see if we come in here and start messing around with the fast and slow length, we're going to get wildly different indicators and signals from our indicator. So play around with those on the time frame that you're trading and on the asset that you're trading for improved results. However, I find that across most time frames, this indicator and these settings work very well. Now, if you want to rely on your own and you do not want to get the bar repainting and coloring, you can just simply unselect that right here in the input window. Going over to style, you guys can change the color of the buy bar color, the sell bar color. That's going to correspond to these colors right here. You can change the color of the uptrend, as you can see here, and the downtrend. You can change the colors of the explosion level. And as you'll also see, we have buy and sell arrows indicated down here. Actually, in the indicator itself, it will print a black arrow when there is a sell and a white arrow when there is a buy. So here we are on the 30-minute chart, which was actually the time frame that this indicator was designed for. However, you can use this on the 1 minute, the 5 minute, or the weekly chart. So as we can see here, when we go down to the lower time frames, using some of those filtering settings are really going to help us with entering and exiting our positions. So for example, as we can see here, this is a very good signal that we get, although we can, of course, wait until the secondary indicator right here, and then we have a potential profit right there. Similarly, waiting for the second bar to print right here would have given us a good filter of this loss because we do get the sell signal at the bottom of this pullback, right? This is telling us to short potentially at the bottom of the movement, waiting for the second bar. And although we can see that we are printing a bar above the explosion level, price is actually moving up. So that is likely a signal that we would not have taken. Similar here. Waiting for that filtering system does help us filter out this loss because this is a sell signal, and as we can see, we don't print another bar. We actually print a green bar on the very next one, as well as price moving up, actually, with the candle color. Here we go. We have a good buy signal right here. Waiting for the second candle to confirm would be okay. And then again, say we did not enter into this trade because although we print a green explosion level, similar to the examples that I gave over here, the next candle color is actually bearish. So what we could actually do is wait for the next candle because as you see on the next candle, we do confirm. So this is waiting for 2 bars to confirm. And this one is also lime, right? So this is showing that the strength to the upside is strong. So that would have been a great signal, whether entered here or whether entered here, or whether entered here. Either way, you would have been able to capture a great profit. Now here, utilizing Waddah Attar, we can see that this candle right here is Wadah's exit system because on this candle, we close below the explosion level. And that would have been a good profit. But utilizing a little bit more sensitive oscillator could have potentially gotten us out a little earlier, as well as utilizing a stop and target system based on actual market volatility would have given us good limit profits on the way up as well. All right, let's look at this candle right here. This is a sell signal. Likely we take this trade, and right here, we probably take a loss on that trade. Here we get a little bit of chop. So again, waiting for those secondary candles to confirm, getting us in the market are going to help quite drastically. Here we have a very good signal to the upside. Again, waiting for the confirmation of the second bar does help filter out a lot of these losses, right? Does help filter out a lot of these losses. But when they give us good signals, they work quite well. So I challenge you, because as you can see, you can just play the tape back. And overall, if you can find some complementary indicators to filter out these bad signals, which you're going to get from any trend following strategy, from any indicator, because this is very sensitive. Another thing that we can potentially do is we can adjust the settings, of course. So we can open up the settings and we can adjust whether we want it to be so sensitive. We can reduce its sensitivity. We can either increase the length of our MA lengths or reduce the length if we want it to be a little bit more sensitive. We can decrease the sensitivity level here, which is going to affect the explosion level and whether or not we take the trade. So if you actually want the adjusting both settings will adjust the signals that you get. But again, I challenge you to go out and find indicators that are going to complement this strategy very well. But again, this is an indicator that I used trading Forex. This is an indicator that I use on a daily basis, not as an entry indicator. However, this does work very well as an entry indicator. But I use this as a volume confirmation indicator. So when I am looking to take a trade, I am looking for my primary indicator, for my primary signal to fire, and then I am looking for Waddah Attar to confirm the bullishness of the movement, to show me that there is gas in the tank to take the trade to the upside. And potentially, that's the spot in your trading system that Waddah Attar is going to find its best spot. However, this is a great indicator that can be utilized multiple ways. So I challenge you to get out there, test, grind, and see what you can do with this powerful tool. So there you have it, guys. Hopefully you found this video educational and helpful. Again, I find the Waddah Attar explosion indicator very helpful, and it's one of those really great indicators that most people are not familiar with. And there's thousands of indicators like this out there, guys. So again, make sure you get out there, grind, test, experiment, and find the system that's going to work best for you. It's very easy, and what we're building is an if this then that strategy. All right, guys, if you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell so you never miss one of our breaking Bitcoin market updates, because we are live every day from noon to 2 Central Daylight Time and on the weekends 5 to 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time to break down the markets. If you guys would like to join our mentorship program to receive access to our proprietary indicators, our private Discord community, our trade setups and signals, access to our Pathways to Profits course, all of our educational material, and our resources, make sure to check the link in the description below for our premium trading group. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. Make sure you get out there and trade safely.